Hospitals see drama every day. Crying patients, angry families, caffeine-starved doctors. But no one was ready for the patient who showed up on 4 legs, carrying a child. At first, people thought it was a prank. Then they saw the blood, and the room shifted from laughter to panic in seconds. What happened next shocked everyone. Make sure to like and subscribe, and tell me, where are you watching from? I love seeing how far these stories travel. Okay, let me take you guys backwards. It was a typical Monday morning at St. Thomas General. Phones rang non-stop. Nurses hustled down halls and doctors argued over charts. It was the usual storm. Then the sliding glass doors parted with a soft hiss, and in walked a German shepherd, not wandering, not lost. He moved with purpose. Draped across his back was a little girl, limp and pale, her arms dangling lifelessly. For a moment, the hospital froze. A receptionist's pen hovered in mid-air. A doctor fell silent mid-sentence. The only sound was the steady click of paws on polished tile. One nurse whispered, "Is this real?" Another muttered, "This definitely isn't in the handbook." A security guard reached for his radio, then froze. What exactly do you report when your newest patient trots in on 4 legs? The shepherd didn't bark or snarl. His eyes blazed with urgency, as if commanding them, "Help her." Finally, a young nurse named Taylor stepped forward. She crouched low, her voice calm but trembling. "It's okay, boy. We're here to help." The dog growled, not in anger, but in fear. Protective. His body stiffened, blocking her path until he judged her intent. Then, with a subtle shift, he eased back just enough. Taylor scooped the child into her arms, horrified at how weightless and cold she felt. "Code Blue! Pediatric emergency!" she shouted, her voice cutting through the silence. The ER snapped alive. Stretchers rolled, monitors beeped, staff scrambled. Yet, even as the girl was rushed toward the trauma bay, every eye flicked back to the shepherd. He padded after her, refusing to let anyone put distance between them. And here's the chilling part. No one knew who the girl was, where she had come from, or how this dog knew exactly where to bring her. The trauma bay buzzed like a hornet's nest. Doctors surrounded the girl, attaching wires, pushing oxygen, shouting vitals across the room. But even with the chaos, no one could ignore the German shepherd sitting at her bedside, rigid, watchful, as if he was part of the team. Nurse Taylor glanced at his collar. No tags, no chip, just a frayed leather band. "Great," she muttered. "We don't even know the name of the hero who checked her in." Hospital security pulled footage from the front entrance. What they saw left even the toughest guard pale. The shepherd hadn't wandered inside by accident. He'd emerged from the woods bordering the property, pausing only once before stepping through the automatic doors with the girl draped over him. Every step had purpose, like he knew where he was going. "Dogs don't read signs," one orderly whispered. So how did he know this was the ER? By late afternoon, local authorities arrived. A detective spoke into his radio with a grim face. "Get a search team. If this girl came out of those woods, someone put her there." The shepherd, now nicknamed Hero by staff, let out a low growl when rangers pointed toward the forest. He paced by the exit doors, glancing back at the girl, then back toward the trees, almost like he understood what needed to happen. With Hero guiding them, officers pushed into the dense tree line. The deeper they went, the heavier the air became. After nearly an hour of following faint paw prints and broken branches, they stumbled on something that made every stomach drop. A clearing. A makeshift camp. Torn tarp, sagging from branches. Charred firewood. Food wrappers scattered in the dirt. And on a log, blood-stained cloth, stiff and dried. But that wasn't the worst of it. Lying half-buried near the fire pit was a tiny shoe. Same size. Same color. A perfect match to the one still strapped to the girl's foot in the hospital bed. One ranger swore under his breath. Another whispered, "She was here." And she wasn't alone. The search had started as a rescue mission. Now it smelled like something darker. Hours passed. The girl lay unconscious in the ICU, her small chest rising shallowly under the weight of machines. Nurses rotated in shifts, checking vitals, adjusting fluids, whispering updates. And always at her side, Hero. The shepherd hadn't moved more than a few feet, curled up on the cold tile, eyes locked on every flicker of her monitors. Most pets panic in hospitals, one doctor said, shaking his head. This one acts like he's clocked in for a shift. Just before dawn, something happened. The girl's lips parted. A weak gasp rattled through her chest. Her eyelids twitched, then fluttered open. At first, her gaze was foggy, but then it locked on the familiar figure by her side. "Scout," she croaked, her voice raw and faint. Hero's ears shot up. He scrambled to his paws, pressing his snout against the edge of the bed with a desperate whine. Nurses froze, stunned, as if they'd just witnessed a reunion no words could explain. The girl's hand trembled upward, fingers curling weakly into his fur. He didn't leave me. By mid-morning, a child psychologist sat at her bedside. Her voice cracked as she pieced together fragments of the nightmare. She spoke of a man who claimed to be her uncle. At first he was kind, then the woods became his prison. His temper snapped without warning, shouting, shoving, striking. Scout, her best friend, had fought to protect her. He barked, he growled, he stood between them. Until one night, the violence turned on him too. She remembered a blow, her vision blurring, the world collapsing into darkness. "And still," she whispered, clinging to Scout's neck, "he never left me." Doctors exchanged grim looks. Her injuries told the same story: fractured ribs, deep bruising, signs of days without care. One physician muttered under his breath, 30 more minutes and she wouldn't have made it. The room went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. Scout hadn't just stumbled across help. He had made a choice. He had carried her through the forest, miles of instinct, and delivered her to the only place that could save her. But as she spoke, detectives caught a new detail, one that changed everything. She said the man wasn't gone. He was still out there. Detectives didn't waste a second. With the girl's fragile testimony and the trail Scout had carved through the forest, authorities pushed the search harder. By the next evening, the suspect was spotted in a nearby bus terminal, dirty, defensive, clutching a backpack stuffed with the girl's missing belongings. When officers closed in, he tried to bluff, claimed it was all a misunderstanding. But the evidence told a different story. The blood-stained rags, the shattered phone, the shoe by the fire pit, and most damning of all, the girl's voice trembling from her hospital bed. "That's him." The arrest made headlines within hours. Reporters swarmed St. Thomas General, their cameras flashing, microphones crowding the staff. But Scout, still planted faithfully by the girl's bed, couldn't have cared less. He wasn't there for cameras. He wasn't there for applause. He was there for her. Child Services scrambled to arrange emergency foster placement, but the girl had only one condition. "Scout comes with me." At first, officials hesitated. Dogs weren't paperwork, they were complications. But after watching the two together, no one had the heart to separate them. So Scout went too. Weeks later, the hospital held a small ceremony. Nurses who once froze in shock now smiled through tears. Doctors who doubted what they saw clapped until their palms ached. And at the center stood Scout, draped with a red ribbon, head held high beside the girl who owed him her life. The story spread far beyond that hospital. News outlets called him a hero. Organizations nominated him for National Bravery Awards. But if you asked Scout, none of that mattered. The only thing that mattered was that he could curl up by her side at night, knowing she was finally safe. From the moment those sliding doors opened to the moment justice was served, one truth was clear. Loyalty sometimes wears fur, and sometimes it saves lives when no one else can. So let me ask you, if this story shocked you, if it moved you, don't just click away. Hit that like button, subscribe for more stories like this, and tell me in the comments, where are you watching from?